Hey, everybody. So, uh, I have to change things a little bit. The um, people are talking about different things and everything else. I'm like, hey, let it play out the way it's going to play out. Uh, Legally, things are going to work their way up all the way up through, and it'll eventually end up on the doorstep of the Supreme Court. Um, just because that's the jurisdiction for um, the presidential election. I mean, it's they have original jurisdiction over this stuff because it's involves states dealing with other states. Remember, states are nation states that are brought together in the union. Okay, but they're separate and individual states or nation states within the United States. Um, the original 13 colonies, yes, could have broke away. We eliminated the Articles of Confederation when the Constitution came about. That's uh, so you can't really break away. Um, so that whole argument doesn't really apply. I love these videos of people showing Texas breaking away, and yeah, the thing you have to remember uh, is when Texas came into the United States, you weren't talking about what is currently Texas. You were talking from Texas all the way over to California. That was all Texas. It wasn't just this little piece of the United States that we now know as Texas. Okay. It was a huge swath of land. It was the largest chunk of property to come into the United States. Um, so to everything changes over time. Texas basically broke into pieces so that the other states were eventually recognized. The push that the Democrats are trying to push for is to bring Puerto Rico in as a state so that they can get more supporters and all this stuff. Um, Puerto Rico has voted like at least 9 times to become a state, and it's always voted no. Um, because guess what? As a state, you basically have to create your own revenue. Uh, you have to live on your own. You have to raise taxes to support your own state government. You don't get money from the federal government to run your state government. It's not the way it works. Okay. So when Puerto Rico looks at and historically has looked at it, they get paid by the federal government because they're a territory. They get allocated funds to run their territory, run their local government from the federal government. We allocate them money. If they become a state, that ends. Boom, can't get that money because they're no longer a territory, they're a state. So they have to create their own taxes based off of the economy of their state. Well, Puerto Rico doesn't have a great economy. That's why most people leave Puerto Rico and come to the mainland and get jobs, get employment here in the mainland because there's opportunities. Puerto Rico doesn't have a lot of opportunities. So for Puerto Rico to become a state, uh, it'd actually be a negative for them, not a good for them. And a lot of people recognize that. Now, politically, they're being pushed down that path because, oh, guess what? The liberals are trying to tell them that this would be great for you. In reality, is it would be shit for you, but it would help them. Okay, it's all about them. Remember, it's all about them. It's all about collecting and accumulating power and getting power into certain positions, getting power that's associated with it. And power is what? Money. It always boils down to money. Well, what's Congress's job? It's reallocation of resources. It's moving money around. Take the resources of the American people, bring that money in. Okay, Once you bring that money in, then it sits down and goes, I'm going to put some here, I'm going to put some there, put some there, I'm going to put some here. That's Congress's job, is an allocation of resources, okay, money, okay? Has nothing to, occasionally they might put a bill together to become an actual law that dictates certain behaviors, okay? Uh, but most of the time they're dealing with what? Their whole point and purpose in being is to run the government, which is moving money around to resource government operations to fund the government, okay? And when they screw up, they're supposed to fix the problem, but they don't. Most of the time, they just write some other bullshit law and move the hell on. Okay, there's so much crap in our government that's unneeded, unnecessary. I mean, uh, it's to oversimplify. You could do away with at least a third of the government with no problem at all, and because it's doing things that it's not really good at doing. Um, the primary focus of the federal government was to only deal with trade between states, from one state to another state, or from external source dealing with other nations. As a collective group, take the United States and deal with other countries. That was their focus and their job. And now we've become this huge conglomerate of a mess. All right. But it doesn't run any of it good. Uh, and now it's gotten to the point where they believe they are the ones that should be dictating to us of how things are. Okay. Remember that thing where you marry, if you marry your government with anything, eventually as it moves along, as soon as the government personnel believe that this is a correct path and everybody else is wrong, then they can go through and just start forcing everybody to do certain things. Okay, and that's a deal like the Justice Department, for example. Justice Justice on a tier is a fundamental um, right up in the sky. It's a well, not really a right. It's the the ultimate tier of justice is up here. Okay, and it's in a way to have justice all the time is unattainable. Okay, but what we do is we take our laws and we go down the thing, knowing that justice is up here. Individuals seek justice for failures of the laws. So you have a law that fails you. So you get ask for a redress of that grievance. So you ask the government to look at it and say, "Look, this doesn't line up with our moral values. It doesn't line up with the justice. It just lines up with what you conceive as what you want." Okay, and then we ask for a grievance to readjust that and to seek justice. So you have the opportunity to seek justice. Okay. What happens in a society or a society that takes and marries their justice system to their people and it moves it along, you end up with their moral turpitudes, their moral values, their moral rights are the law. Therefore, that's the justice you get, is because we've married justice to that law, saying this is justice. This is the line of justice that you are allowed. And they go along. Okay. Unfortunately, the left has adopted that idea that through Marxism, communism, socialism, that there's social justice, there's this justice, there's that justice. Okay, they've tied it all in so that their version of justice is the only justice. And you either deal with that or they're going to punish you. They're going to send guys with guns after you. All right, they'll try to fine you at first. They'll yell at you, then they'll fine you. And when you don't pay the fine, then they're going to send guys with guns to collect you up and they're going to punish you or kill you. One of the two. Okay? Because that's where you end up when you take hey, our way or the highway. And all these justice this, justice that, that's what it is. It's saying my moral values are more important than your moral values. You can't seek a higher justice that is a known or natural order of justice. This is the way life should be up here. Okay? This is the ultimate tier of life. Okay, where everybody's happy and all this stuff. Okay. This is where everybody gets along, everybody does the right thing and all this. Okay, it's nice. Here's reality down here. Okay? But when a law is so evil, so nasty, so constructed, so bent to one direction so that they get a political outcome that favors their side, and it's only designed to do that, okay, you have to you have the moral obligation to say no, we're not doing that because this outcome, because of this. If your law comes in and tells me to do this, this is the natural way it's going to happen, is that all these people are going to end up an enemy of the state because they don't agree with you, which justifies your actions, which is how communism, Marxism, all these different ones, that they all end up the same way. They end up with groups saying this, that, and the other, and then you end up killing a whole bunch of people. And that's the way the governments that have gone down that route have all ended. They've all ended up killing massive amounts of their own populations. All right. I mean, communism and Marxism and stuff has killed probably 200 to 250 million people in its history. And you want to try that again? Oh my God. All right. Let's take that logic, for example. Okay. Everybody that the left hates, everybody that the left disagree with right now, let's say that election is, okay, the United States just split in half as far as politically. Okay. So you have 80 million on this side. I disagree with that number. There's no way Joe Biden could be the most loved or liked fucking president in the entire history of the United States to get that many votes. Has to be a lot of bullshit votes in there because he's no way he's more popular than even his hero Obama. I mean, he drew so many. It's like, no, you knew there's a lot of fucking double votes, a lot of votes that just materialized out of the air. You have a lot of votes of dead people. And, if you take two presidential elections, cram them together and send them through, you might get that outcome. But you're not going to get it in one. No way. Especially when the sitting president already got more votes than he got last time and more than any president in history. And then you top that? Come on, people. Let's be real. This is Joe Biden. I mean, as Robin Williams said, Joe Biden says shit that people with Tourette's go, oh, ooh, ooh. No, Joe, sit down. Sit down, Joe. Please, just sit down. I mean, that's the man that you want. Woo! It's going to be an interesting 4 fucking years if it stands. Honestly, I don't think it will, because if the Supreme Court actually does its job, instead of being afraid of what might happen. Look, you can't go through life thinking that you're going to correct things by doing the wrong thing. That's just the wrong answer. You can't correct things by doing the wrong things, or think that you're going to stop something, and to do that, you have to do the wrong thing. You have to break the law or ignore the law in order to get an outcome that you think is less harmful, because those sort of things end up costing the most. The instant that you, especially with the law, ignore the law to gain an outcome, the end result is always worse than what could have transpired. Yes, there's going to be some turmoil. All right. There's always going to be some people that aren't happy with an election. Okay. Always has been. This ain't America's first rush at this shit. Look at our history. I mean, you think a lot of the chaos of the past was caused by people being happy about the results? I'm like, well, they don't want to start a civil war. If you, let's say the Supreme Court says no to all this stuff, and it's proven later on that, yeah, he stole the election. lied, cheated. It was the whole Democratic Party in cahoots that set up this machine, and I'm talking machine, not just the Dominion machines, but this whole apparatus of their entire political being was the greatest political theft in world history. And then you turn around and the Supreme Court goes, "Oh my God, we're going to have riots." I can't. I don't want to. I don't want to be the one that causes riots in America. Okay, so it happens. Then they gain even more power by locking in Georgia because the same political apparatus is still in play. Because guess what? This is a runoff election, and they haven't had time to change the machines or set up a thing, and they're even making it easier because those in power think they're going to gain power or gain favor through this change so that they can move up into another position of power. Okay. And in the end, they're going to be the lords and ladies that rule us all. Because that's what it's about. It's about power. Okay. And power is about money. I mean, it's an idiot and a fool that chases it, but let's face it, the government's full of goddamn idiots and fools. Just look at some of the shit. I mean, hell, look at Joe Biden's record on international affairs or just about anything he's been wrong with. I mean, you go from the crime bill, you go back. I mean, this guy's a true racist. I mean, and then you guys are holding him up like he's a saint, and he's like, oh my God, just listen to what the man has said over the years. And I don't know. It's lunacy. Just because a person is of your political affiliation doesn't necessarily mean that they are that person that you think them to be. You're reading into him what you think he is. Reality could be totally different, but you think this way because, hey, that's what you've been taught. Okay? You were taught for years and years and years the Democratic Party is the party of the people because, you know what, they're all poor. They fight for the little guy. Have you actually looked at the top richest people in Congress? They're all Democrats. And they all made their money. I mean, that cat is stupid, ain't he? Oof. My cat's nuts. Anyhow, they all chase political power within the system. But yet they went into the system broke, but now they're like super millionaires and stuff. I'm like, yeah, not on their salary. I mean, it's nuts, man. So if you disenfranchise or you end by saying, I'm not going to do this because you're scared. I get it. You might be scared that this outcome goes to that. You'll be politically hated because you did this. If you are saying those kind of things and you are sitting in like the Supreme Court, you should have never been in that position because you have no personal courage or character. Sometimes doing the right thing makes you hated. As a leader, you have to lead. And you have to lead by doing the right thing when it's required. And that's all the time. You might not be liked by those that you lead because you made that decision, but in the end, they'll see why you made that decision and go that direction. Okay? You can't just bend with the wind. That's not what your job is. Your job is to interpret the law, not make new law. Interpret the law as it is. And if that interpretation upsets a bunch of people, okay, it upsets a bunch of people. But here's my thing. If you know all this stuff is going on, let's say that this happens and the Supreme Court doesn't overturn it, and you're not going to get a huge uprising out of the Trump supporters. You're not, okay, because they follow the Constitution and the law. What you're going to do is instantaneously tell them that the Constitution doesn't matter, okay, because you're not going to uphold it. You're telling them, you're telling the left that you're scared of them. All right. If you're scared of a dog that's growling and barking at you, he's going to bite your ass. Okay? And he can sense it. He's going to tear you apart. Okay? You have to stand your ground. Because if you don't, that whole scenario I was talking about where they marry the laws up and at the end they kill off a whole bunch of people. If you give Democrats total power over time, especially these whack jobs that are sitting in some of these seats now, okay, who have no qualm with writing laws that, I mean, hell, these lockdowns are killing people. They are. These lockdowns are killing people. You think they care? Fuck no, they don't care. They don't care one single bit, because if they did, I mean, the mask mandate. Here's the biggest thing about the mask mandate that makes this whole mask thing proof that it's bullshit. You go, you get the vaccination, and now they're saying you still got to wear a mask. You're vaccinated. The whole point of the vaccination was to protect yourself. Well, if the vaccination is true, which they say it is, then you don't need to wear the fucking mask, because guess what? You can't get sick, and since you can't get sick, you can't make other people sick, so why in the fuck are you having to wear a mask? The mask is not about protecting you, because the science isn't there. Virus that is 0.1 microns, is even the N95 is 0.3 microns size. Now they say it's layered up a whole bunch. I mean, think about it. Layer. Okay. Instead of getting a straight shot, you just end up with having, it has to weave through in order to get it. Well, everybody walks in the wind, and so eventually it's going to blow through the mask. And they're like, oh, it gets stuck on the surface, it'll get attached there. Well, why couldn't it get dislodged? I mean, you walk into a room, and most of the time, let's face it, it's going for what? In through your respiratory system. Okay. But you got your eyeballs. All right. There's moisture there. And guess where those ducts lead? If I get something in my eye and it causes my eye to irritate, it's going to drain through right into the nasal cavity. Oh my God. What's in the nasal cavity? That's part of the respiratory system, because guess what? It goes down inside. So in reality, why the fuck ain't we wearing a fucking goggles? Something to cover our eyes, protect our eyes from taking something into it also. Because it all ends up the same fucking place. So if this was a true problem, we would not just be wearing masks, we would be wearing the goggles too. Okay? Look, it's a flu. Okay? Me, and looking at the number, the rate of deaths and everything else, all right, it's a little higher than we average death on a regular year. Okay? And don't get me wrong. I mean, I feel for the people that have gotten sick. I've had pneumonia and other things. I've been hurt, been shot, been stabbed, been blown up, broken bones. I've had 33 broken bones at the same time. So I know what pain is. I know what loss is. I've lost my mother, my sister, almost all my relatives, my brothers. They're all gone. Okay? So I know what loss is. And I feel. But at the same time, we can't destroy our economy, which affects millions upon millions of people. Look, more people are going to be injured from this in the end. I guarantee you, when we start looking at the cost of what the shutdowns have incurred, we have destroyed more than we've helped. Yes, the flu's, look, there's three ways the flu ends. Either everybody gets it, it works its way through the whole society, and all of the generations end up with it, and then we become immune to it. And yes, there's going to be losses, people whose immune systems are deteriorated, people who have pre-existing conditions and stuff like that. Okay. Look, when a 97-year-old man who's already on death's door gets sick and then he dies of a heart attack, but he had corona and they say it's corona, yeah, it was probably old age. And yes, it probably was a contributing factor, but the simple fact is, probably wasn't going to live for another 40 fucking years. Okay? Uh, I'm sorry that he passed. I'm sorry for the family but at the same time, this is life. Nobody gets out of life alive. You can try all you want. The Egyptians tried to take everything with them, but guess what? It fucking didn't happen. Why? Because we broke into their tombs and stole their shit after they were dead. Okay? Kind of proof right there that there's only one way this ends. You're part of the ground again. Either ashes or dust, one of the two. Or you could be embalmed and just be a mummy on the side in a casket. But hey, personally, I want to have my ashes. You know, I'd rather be. I want to be cremated and spread my ashes somewhere nice so I can be part of the world. But anyhow, but you got to look at this from that point of view. I mean, there are going to be a lot of deaths that occur from this based off of how we've treated it. Now, everybody blames Trump for how it happens and stuff. No, that's not how this shit works. The states are the ones controlling all the lockdowns and stuff. Trump doesn't control the states. That's not the way our government works, people. If you're having issues, it's because of your governor and the state government. And there's a lot of crazy motherfuckers in the state government that should never be there. Why? Because you know what? That's brother to so-and-so. That's this guy's sister, this cousin. There's so much incestual bullshit going on in state governments. It's unreal. And I'm not talking about just the elected officials. I'm talking to people that actually work for the governments. All right. They work in a county. Oh, my dad was this administrator, so I'm going to be this administrator. I'll work my way. He's going to get me a job here, and then I'm going to do this. There's so much of that crap going on in the government. You end up with a bunch of people that are fucking incompetent, don't know what the fuck they're doing. Not reality. They just go along with the system because the system's telling them they have to do this. You could twist that system into a big fucking pretzel. And the only ones that ever benefit from it are the people that are part of the system. You're either with us or against us. That's the attitude that most government officials have. You're not on this tier level. You don't understand. You haven't been read on this, so you don't fully understand what's going on. That's been the excuse for so much fucking evil shit. It's unreal. They can get away with so much stuff because guess what? They don't have to tell you what's going on. It doesn't matter. And then years later, when it comes out, it's like, oh, they were totally fucking wrong. They lied to us. They always lie. They always lie. Why? Because they want to look good. They want to be the hero of their own story. Everybody wants to be the hero of their own story. Me, I'm an asshole. I know it. Don't care. All right? But you give me a task, you tell me when I would need to do it, have it done by, this is my thing. I'll run a project, I'll run this. That's my fucking job. And then to train the people underneath me to know what I know what to do. Teach them how to complete a task. That's what I do. All right? I love doing what I do. I love running projects. I love building buildings. I love building huge. It could be a dam. It could be a subway. I don't care, man. I've worked every fucking menial job you could possibly imagine, and then worked my way up through stuff and done things and figured out what I love to do. I like being who I am. I turned down a lot of things in life to be because this makes me happy. I don't need mega millions to be happy. All right. Roof over my head, paid for, do this, do that, be able to have fun. Sometimes having a little extra cash to do some things is nice to have. All right. Don't get me wrong. Being poor itself would definitely, I've been poor. I've lost everything more than once. But shit happens. It's part of life. It will teach you things that you never expected to be learning. And if you went through life and you had no hitches, no hiccups, you wouldn't learn shit. You really wouldn't. Anyhow, I got to go to work. A little bit of rain outside. I got to go put a roof on a place. And you guys have a nice day. I'll talk to you later.